Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Built to Serve podcast. We are excited about today's guest. This is going to be exciting for everybody. Master Sergeant John Abels, United States Air Force Reserve at the 403rd Wing in Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi. Man, it's great to have you on the podcast.
It's good to be here, sir.
Well, listen, let's start off with what we need to talk about, okay? You were a prior service Marine Corps.
Yes, sir.
And now you're currently in the Air Force.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you go through both boot camps?
No, sir. Just Marine Corps boot camp.
Okay, well, pretty good. Good, because you know the Air Force boot camp is harder than the Marine Corps boot camp, right?
That might be the rumor, sir, but I'm not really certain about that.
We just lost half of the people watching right there by just my first sentence. But, man, listen, first of all, we're so thankful to have you here. I love you. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate our friendship. We served together at the 403rd Wing, and we're going to dive straight in. So we're going to dive into this conversation, and then we'll kind of come back a little bit and try to dig up some other stuff, see what we can get into. So let's talk first about how you and I met, okay? So you were riding on that white stallion. No, that's wrong?
That's wrong. Yes, sir.
Tell me how you remember our meeting, because I probably remember something a little bit different.
Well, when you first came in, you came into the chaplain corps because you were in the IMA world, and we had a vacancy at the wing chaplain. So we had heard rumor of a guy coming in from IMA to be a traditional reservist like I am. And they said his name's Major Garrison. And I had no idea. You know, I was fairly new to the chaplain office myself. I just got in there, and I just was looking forward to meeting you. And you showed up one Saturday morning, and there you were.
What's up, everybody? So IMA means Individual Mobility Augmentist, which means that an IMA is assigned to an active duty wing. And the 403rd is a traditional reservist wing. So it's a pretty big move for me. So I remember the first time I met you guys, I was like, man, this guy is really tall. When I first met you, I was like, this guy is super tall.
Yeah.
No, but I'll tell you, when I came into the 403rd, you guys had already been there for a while, and your reputation preceded you as well. So I definitely would not have come to the 403rd without doing a little bit of checking on who was already there. So it was great. It was great to have you there, and great time that we spent together. So let's talk a little bit about maybe your time leading up into the Air Force. So Marine Corps, let's start with the Marine Corps. Now, I'm sorry that, some of us make bad decisions. Ain't that right, Favre? Some people make bad decisions. Favre knows how that is. Favre, what did you do? You went to a bad decision as well.
No, Army, 100% way to go. Who? Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what I was saying is that we all make mistakes. So obviously you made one in the Marine Corps. How old were you when you signed up for the Marine Corps?
I was 18 years old, so 18 years and two months. I signed up May 9th, 1985. I was a senior in high school.
Senior in high school. I did the same thing. Probably a little bit later than you, but definitely did the same thing. So tell me about your first day at Parris Island.
Well, actually, sir, I went to San Diego, California. Hollywood Marine is someone that may have gone to Parris Island. You know, they call us Hollywood Marines. The first day, you get on the school bus, you pick you up at the airport, and it's usually around midnight, and they say you are now.
Did you stay at a hotel before the night before, or how? Because
we shipped out from MEPS. We leave the MEPS processing, and they send us to the hotel. To the airport. You get on your plane, and you. I don't want to say purposely, but you're gonna arrive at boot camp where it's usually very late at night. You're tired. You're scared. At least I was scared. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I wasn't. 18 years old, never left home. Never got on a plane before. The next thing you know, I'm standing at attention on some yellow footprints.
That's the truth.
They say, you are now aboard Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, California. Get off the bus.
So MEPS, where was MEPS? So MEPS is Military Entrance Processing
Station.
Yes,
Thank
you for knowing the acronyms.
I'm certain that's it. I'm pretty sure. I'm glad you didn't ask me about IMA because I couldn't have told you what that was.
I got you.
It was in New Orleans at the time. I think
okay.
It's now for Louisiana, and I'm not certain the region, but it's in Belle Chase now. But it was in New Orleans.
So you went from New Orleans on a plane to San Diego. Have you ever been to San Diego before?
No, sir. Oh. I've been to California before.
No,
that was it. That was the first. That was a few firsts.
So what time was it that you arrived at Marine Corps boot camp? Give me something.
I want to. It was dark. It was dark.
That's at least a 12-hour period.
It's late. Yeah, you're right. I'm really not narrowing it down. I didn't bring a watch.
After midnight?
I don't think it was after midnight, but it would seem to be close.
Yeah.
You know, because they tell you bring very minimal personal effects. So I didn't have a watch. I just knew it was late. I think I was too scared to worry about the time, to be honest with you.
So they ship you out. You stand on your yellow footprints, and they take you to your barracks the first night, and everything finally calms down. I mean, it calms down. Everyone gets silent, and you hear the beds creaking. You hear people crying.
Yeah.
What was your first thoughts as you lay in bed that night at Marine Corps boot camp?
Well, the thing about being in San Diego, you're very, very close to the airport. The San Diego, I'm not certain if it's San Diego International or what, but you can hear and see the planes taking off all the time, and you're like, what did I do?
Why can't I get on one of those?
Why can't I get on one of those planes? And, you know, but honestly, that didn't last long. I was glad I did what I did. But yeah, the first few weeks for sure, I was like, I can't wait to get back on one of those planes.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you can hear the plane, and that stuff sticks with you forever.
It does.
So you every time you hear a plane go over, you're like, oh, that's when I was in bed. I mean, it's weird how that stuff sticks. I think there's certain times in life, which we'll probably get to, that just stick in your brain a little bit deeper, I guess, than others.
Right.
So how many days into boot camp did you have to get your hair cut?
Oh, you get your hair cut
The next
right
day?
off the bat. No, right off the bat.
Oh, right when you get there?
Right off the bat. You're still in your civilian clothes when you get your hair cut.
I guess that's true. Well, we came in the middle of the night, so I guess the next morning we would be getting our hair cut.
And they tell you if you got something on your head, put your finger on it, and you know, they shave you, and if your finger's there, the
like if you got a bump or like a
put your finger on it. Yeah, put your finger on
and
it.
But
it
doesn't do no
good. No, they don't shave around it. Just doing that, I guess, to make you feel good.
Oh,
I'm not really
gosh,
sure.
that's
but
good. That's really funny.
You get your hair cut right off the bat.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so you just got your hair cut, and you're looking all, Marine Corps-ish. I don't even know if that's a word, but I just made it up. But so how many days?
Good.
It sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Probably how mine looks now. But how many days after that did you first meet your drill instructor?
Well, you go to receiving process and receiving. You know, you get your uniforms. You turn in all your civilian stuff. You put it in a box. Or they do it, and you get your uniforms, and you go through in process and stuff. So I'd say, if I remember right, we're talking almost 40 years, 4 or 5 days, you in what we call receiving barracks and stuff. And you finally get introduced to your platoon, and your senior drill instructor comes out, and he kind of goes over your training schedule. You know, it's 3 phases of boot camp and stuff, and he introduces each one of the drill instructors, and they come in through the duty hood, through the door, and they just standing there looking at you. They got that smoky barrels down here. You can't see their eyes. I had 5 drill instructors. I guess they figured this guy might be.
They need more?
He might be trouble. We better get them all on him. No, that's definitely not true. But I had 5 of them, and he introduced each and every one of them by name and rank and stuff. And when he finished, he said, like, we're gonna train hard, and we're gonna make some memories here, And he turns around, he does an about face, and right before he goes back through the hatch, the door of his duty hut, he turns around and he says, "Drill instructors, they're all yours." And I could have swore he let lions loose on us. It's like they just started. They give you your bunk, your rack, you make your bed. They rip the sheets off. They make you dump your stuff. It was quite chaotic, if I could explain it, I guess, in a word or two. But it was fun, and I think it's a it's a great introduction.
Did you just say fun? Let me write that down. Fun.
Fun now.
Fun
it's
now.
Fun now. At the time, it was an introduction that I'm certain. I don't know every Marine, but I'm sure most Marines will remember that day.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I think as we've gotten older and look back at things like that, it's more like an honor. It was an honor to be there. You know, in boot camp, I just remember this. I never pulled my sheets back. Once I made my rack, I had an extra quilt in my foot locker. Well, it was like a little shelf, but I'd fold it up and put it in there. And you could have it as long as it was folded up. So every morning, all I had to do was fold one thing.
Right.
So.
Right. I kind of slept like that. You know, if any of the drill instructors are watching, sorry. But
yeah.
You know, they woke you up.
Yeah.
I think it was 5:30, if I remember right. And it's what seems like 2 minutes later, we marching to go to breakfast, go to chow. And you had to get dressed fast. And I used to be able to do that pretty good, but I would kind of sneak maybe my socks or something on under you, because
every second counted.
Every second counts.
Yeah.
But they didn't want you to do that. But you know, I'd every now and then put on a pair of socks and try to slip my trousers on too, just to get a head start. So I wasn't that one that they holding everybody up.
It's weird talking about that because unless Favre and I have talked about it, I would hear people getting ready in the middle of the night. They'd get ready and then they get back in their rack and put their blanket over them.
Right.
So about maybe the 7th or 8th night, they came in there in the middle of the night and jerked back your covers.
That's exactly.
And some people had their uniform on.
And
right?
I didn't want to take that chance. That's why the socks every now and then, because you'd hear that last fire watch bang on his hatch and say, "Sir, the time on deck is," whatever time he wanted to be woken up. So he's like, "Okay, it's almost time to get up." So maybe I'll chance putting my socks on, but I never was brave enough to get fully dressed.
Did one of your instructors stay in your
Yes, sir. Barracks? Stayed in the duty hut.
Ours didn't. Favre, at boot camp, did you guys have somebody that stayed in your barracks with you at night?
No, they were actually, so there was like a HQ right next to, we were in trailers actually. So they had tore down our barracks and rebuilt them at Fort Knox. So they were in trailers and he was right next to our trailer.
Yep.
That's probably what ours was too. Our guys, like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, were kind of belling out. Like you had a couple more things to do. They were working 8 to 5 or 6 to 5 or whatever. Then they would come back in the morning.
We had one with us all the time. He stayed, we called it a squad bay is what we stayed. It was just an open squad bay. You had your bunks on both sides. Right down the middle was open. And it was a little duty hut. It was a place, he had his rack in there, and I'm sure he had a shower because we never, he didn't come out amongst us. But
do you remember his name?
I remember all 5 of them.
Come on, what were their names?
Drill Instructor Staff Sergeant Wayne, Staff Sergeant Briones, Staff Sergeant Colasso, Staff Sergeant Rivera, and Sergeant Mims.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You don't forget.
I'm sure if I asked your wife, she says your memory's not that good, but all of a sudden there's something where you remember from 40 years ago.
She would definitely say his memory's not, but those you don't forget. They make a lasting impression.
It is unbelievable. Ours was that.
And it's a good.
I mean, niece, and we've talked about this before. He wore taps on his shoes, and I could hear him coming. Man, it was like a nightmare. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. So we got through the Marine Corps. You got through boot camp. What was your first duty station?
My first duty station, I went to Millington, Tennessee. I was when I went to boot camp, I went as infantry, and I went open contract. I think it was, and for some reason, they made me a airframes mechanic on a Huey. And it's like, I don't like mechanic work. I don't understand how I got this job, but I was kind of glad I did after being in the air wing. So I went to Millington, Tennessee to learn airframes on a Huey.
So that was like a school, your A school?
It was a school, yes, sir.
How long was that school for?
About 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. Close to 3 months. Yes,
well,
sir.
The Huey is a phenomenal helicopter.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
One of our close friends says it beats the wind into submission. That's why it sounds so.
It sure
crazy.
Sounds like it.
It sounds like it for sure. So, were you deployed as a Marine?
I was, yes, sir. I went to. I was in the reserves.
Okay.
All my time in the Marine Corps was reserves. Even I deployed to Desert Storm. That was 6 months. I was a reservist. When I got back from Desert Storm, I went back in the reserves and did the traditional reservist a little while, and then I became a recruiter. And I was still a reservist then as well. I recruited, but I was what they call an EAD, an extended active duty.
Let me ask you this question first, because then I have a question about the recruiter. That's probably not going to be fun. Just kidding. So where did you fly into on your deployment? Where were y'all based out of?
Well, we flew into Saudi Arabia, and that was the civilian planes and all were landing there. I flew in on a C-5.
Come on.
An Air Force C-5.
Imagine that circle.
That circle,
I
right?
know, a C-5.
And we got off. We unloaded the planes, took our gear off, and you stayed there a little while until they found a place for you to go. And then we jumped on the helicopters, flew out, and then we jumped on some trucks and went to somewhere in the desert.
Now, while you were there, was this during a combat time, or were you guys there before or after most of the combat, or?
I was there for Desert Shield, and then Desert Storm started.
I got you. At the end of Shield.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, as a recruiter, any questions about his time in the desert? But as a recruiter, now this is a podcast that's going to be seen by millions of people.
Okay. All right.
And so people are going to fact check me. Did you ever lie as a recruiter?
I don't think I did, sir. The reason being...
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
Yeah,
It's a lie.
no,
It's a lie from a lie.
I recruited in my hometown. That's why I was...
So you couldn't lie too much.
I was like, I'm not lying to these people because they know where I live, for one, and I'm in the community.
Yeah, sure. Well, recruiters are notorious for that.
They can be.
They can.
I tried to be as straight up as I could be.
So there is a little hope there that you did lie. I mean, did you stretch it? Come on, you stretched the truth a little bit.
I may have. I really don't know. I like to think that, I'd like to think.
I'm sure you didn't, John. Knowing John Amos,
But,
I doubt you did.
I hope I did.
Yeah, I understand.
I haven't experienced anybody coming back after me yet.
Well, we can't find y'all. So,
Right.
when there's a couple I want to talk to, but I can't find them. I think they've already retired. I think they did that right before they retired, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So let's keep going. So you come. You're in the Marine Corps. You come back home. Did you have one deployment or two deployments? One deployment, and you stayed in the Marine Corps how long?
10 years.
10 years. Did you stay in airframe the whole time?
I did. Well, besides
recruiter.
recruiting. Yes, sir.
Interesting. And so, what year did you come out of the Marine Corps?
Officially was discharged from the Marine Corps in 2001 because when I got off recruiting duty in 95, I went into the inactive reserve to where like every night, once a year or so, they'll call you and look at you. Can you come in and let's look at you, see if you're good. In the IR, you could be called up at any time if you need it.
Right.
So I went into the IR, and then I did one more year as a traditional reservist in my last contract. And then just things kind of, life happened and things, I just felt like it was time to I just got out. I was honorably discharged in February 2001. And at the time, I thought it'd be just the military was going to be a memory for me. Fast forward 12 years later.
Back in it.
But this time in the world's greatest Air Force.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
The wing of choice.
Wing of choice. Yes, sir.
So when you're talking about that time there, and we know that some of your background, being as an EHS auditor for performance, some of your background was in cranes and rigging and that type of thing. When did you start that career in the crane and rigging side of it?
Probably after my initial schooling and then my on-the-job training when I went do the TR world full time, like when I was like, okay, you going in, this is going to be your drilling once a month. You know how you do the 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. So my dad worked for McDermott, and when it was time for me to get a job and start life, I went to work for McDermott, and he was a crane operator.
Your dad was a crane operator?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He was a rigging foreman and stuff, and that's how I started. I started working for McDermott as a rigger and just worked my way up.
So what's the largest crane that you operated?
At McDermott, I used to run what they call an American 11250. It was an old friction crane. That's where I got my start. And there's not too many friction cranes around. That was a 300-ton. They call it a sky horse because they had the two booms on the back, and it was the bomb of cranes back then. I think
you were something.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. But I didn't start out on that. That's what you. Because they only had a few of those at McDermott, so you work your way up from the smaller ones on up.
So now at the time frame, or in our time here, we're past the Marine Corps. You've gotten out. You said in 01, when'd you say?
01, yes, sir.
That's 24 years ago. How's that make you feel? Feel old?
It doesn't. I do feel old sometimes.
24 years ago. We were just talking earlier about how 25 years ago was 2000. That just doesn't seem like that long ago, but it has been. So you're between the Marine Corps. You're already coming into McDermott. You're coming into Cranes. But did you do anything else in between there, like with industrial construction, or did you just come into Cranes because your daddy was in the Cranes?
That's it. I stayed at McDermott, I think a little over 20 years, 22 years, something like that.
That's pretty amazing.
I did a crane inspection while I was there as well. I did some training. I trained on forklifts, MEWPs, cranes, rigging. I used to teach that. I did that for about 3 years with them.
All right, so we're past the Marine Corps. We're into McDermott. We're running cranes. I find crane operators pretty fascinating. You may not think it's as fascinating as I do, but the things that you can lift with a crane and the things that you can do with a crane is pretty phenomenal. In the Coast Guard, on our barge and tug, we had a crane, and they would never let me operate it.
No.
I tried one time, and they say, "Oh, you're good."
I don't understand that. It seemed like they would have.
Yep. So you enjoyed your time at McDermott?
I did. Especially, I don't want to say following in my dad's footsteps, but following in my dad's footsteps. Because, like I said, he started out as a crane operator. My dad got out of the Guard when he's from Mississippi, North Mississippi, a little town called Pickens above Jackson. And him and his brother came to Louisiana and married two sisters. And two brothers married two sisters, and he started working at McDermott. They both now, well, my dad since passed, but he worked at McDermott till he retired. His brother is now retired from McDermott, been retired a few years, and it started. I guess cranes were in my blood. I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool. McDermott's got a few locations. I think it's close to one of ours down there now, right?
Yes, sir. The module yard in Morgan City is where. To use a military term, I marched a lot on that ground. I pounded a lot of that ground, and where the module yard's at right now, that's where I did all my McDermott time.
Yeah, talking about coming full circle. You know, life is short. The world is small, and it's interesting how those things come back around. Even with mine and your relationship and how this has grown, it's come back around. So pretty cool. So now, after you left there, what year did you come into the United States Air Force?
2013.
Okay.
6, 7, 13. June the 7th, 2013.
So you and I came back into the Air Force. I came, of course, from the Coast Guard, very close at the same time. Very close. I should know it since I just did a career data brief today, but don't tell my boss. But I think it was very close. But then I went to Hurlburt. Where was your first unit into the Air Force? Was it a Florida? Okay. But you were in something else, though, other than the chaplain corps, right?
Yes, sir. I was in safety.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I did safety. When I was talking to the recruiter to get into the Air Force.
Did he lie to you?
It was a she, and she didn't lie to me. She.
Favre, do you believe that?
It's a recruiter. What do you think?
That's true. That's true. We'll let you go with that story.
It took a little while. I joined. That's when I enlisted. The day I raised my right hand was June 7th. But the process was probably almost a year to get into the Air Force because I did a little safety at McDermott as a safety tech. And like I said, I did that training. I trained safe golf and different, I'd say OSHA classes, but HAZWOPER and stuff like that. So I was like, safety might be the way I'd like to go in the military. So it took a little while to find me a safety job, and I finally did, and it's a pretty cool story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, my wife and I used to ride motorcycles, and my wife and I jumped on the bike and went to Breaux Bridge to a bed and breakfast because both of our birthdays are in March and our anniversary is in February. So we decided to do a long weekend on the bike. So we go to a bed and breakfast, and I'm outside drinking coffee. I like to drink coffee while waiting her to get ready. We're going to leave it at waiting for her to get ready.
Yeah, still waiting.
Still, no.
In my life, you're still waiting. I'm still waiting.
She's great. She's she understands. So I'm outside drinking coffee, and the owner says, I noticed on your bike you was in the Marine Corps. I said, yes, sir. I did 10 years, and I just told him a little bit about it. And he said, well, I'm in the Air Force. I said, really? I said, I've been trying to get into the Air Force at Keesler Air Force Base now for about 10 months. He said, is that so? I said, yep. He said, the commander of the 403rd's come and stay in the same, it was a little barn we were in. He converted it, and it was very, very quaint, nice. He said, the commander of the 403rd's come and stay there. He said, I'll tell him about you. I was like, okay. I'm thinking to myself, what you gonna tell? We just, he's working on his wharf at the pond and on his property, and I'm drinking coffee. So fast forward about maybe 5-6 weeks, I get an email from the commander, and he's like, tell me a little bit about yourself. So I send it back to him, tell him I was in the Marine Corps, and this is what I did, and this is what I do now in the civilian world, and this is what I'm interested in. And he says, well, in about 3 days, within 3 days, a recruiter's gonna call you. So I hadn't finished reading the email good, and my phone rings, and it's my recruiter, and she's like, why didn't you tell me you knew a colonel? I said, because I don't.
That's right.
I don't. And he's like, well, you got your safety job. He said, give it to him. So, which I thought was pretty cool.
We call names. We call people out on here on this podcast. Who was it?
It was Colonel Jensen.
Okay, that was before Colonel Rubio.
Yes, sir.
That's really cool.
Very.
Who was the safety guy?
It was Lieutenant Colonel Ragusa was my boss.
Okay.
He was the safety guy. And when I walked in, the first day at drill, they all everybody in the office is like just laughing at me or looking like, oh, he's friends with Colonel, with the commander and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't know him. I said,
you do now.
I do now. That's why I look at my career in the Air Force, especially the way it started and the whole career, has been a God thing. Because he goes to the safety manager and says, I got you a new safety person coming in. And he says, well, sir, we already have one overage. And he says, well, now you have two. It was just that
it's
simple.
Amazing what they can do.
Amazing.
It's amazing what
they can do. And I just think it was meant to be.
That's really cool. Now, how long did you stay in the safety department for the 3rd?
A little over 9 years. Officially about 10, because I moved over from safety to the chaplain's office after about 9 years. But I didn't go straight to chaplain school, to religious affairs is what it's called, religious affairs school. I didn't go to that right away. I kind of hung out in the office about 6 months.
Well, what that says to me, being in the EHS department here at Performance, is that you should know exactly the way not to do things if you were in the Air Force safety for 10 years. I mean, it definitely teaches you some things. And I know I probably will never get a job in the safety for the Air Force because of that comment, but I love all of you. That's pretty cool. So you've been at the 403rd the whole time?
The whole time, yes,
How
sir.
many times have you been deployed with the 403rd?
Never.
Never been deployed with the 403rd. And then what year did you come into religious affairs?
It was probably the end of 2020, because I went to school. No, I'm sorry, 2022, because I went to school in January of 2023 to go to religious affairs school.
That's right. So, most of the listeners may not know you as well as they will after this podcast, but to say that you are very, very fluent with technology is so tell the story about you being in school with all these young whippersnappers at that class and all that took place there.
That was interesting because I've been to 2 Air Force schools, safety school, and of course I was the oldest in my class, and I got picked on for that. The instructor made me sit right in front of him, and when he asked me what my job was, I was like, I don't have one. He said, because you put on my name tag, we'll put that you were in the cavalry. That's what he wrote on my name tag.
Oh, that's really funny.
So I was over there, but then going to
Marine Corps Cavalry.
Marine Corps Cavalry, I guess. But then going to religious affairs school, I knew there's no doubt in my mind I'd be the oldest one, because by this time I'm 55 years old, old enough to be the teacher's
That's
dad.
true. You probably were older than a teacher.
So when we we start the class, and I'm waiting for him to hand out the books and all, and they hand out these little iPads or whatever it's called, or something. It's like, what's this? It's like, that's what we're taking the class on. I said, where's the books? So, by that time, I'm getting picked on already for being low tech. So I had a few that at my table. I outranked most of them. They had a couple other master sergeants in there, but everybody in there was young, E3s, E4s and stuff. So they didn't pick on me too bad.
Yeah.
At least where I could hear it anyway.
That's right.
But they kind of helped me along, and then we were one day in class, we were doing something, and I was kind of stuck on it, and I could hear they were all, the whole class had moved on. I think we were learning how to set up different services, religious services, and so I'm trying to take in this one, like memorize it because we were going to get tested on it. But everybody moved on and they were waiting on me, and I could hear one of them say, "Hey, Dad, we're over here." It's like, oh, I don't hear it much, but I was like, okay, the dad joke, okay, Dad. So
the part that you told me I thought was really funny too is that they're all sitting there typing away on their iPads, and you had like pen and paper out there trying to write down notes.
That's true. Yes, sir. I try to forget those technical difficulties, but yeah, they all typing away and they all waiting on me because I'm scribbling notes, and they're like, you can do that on here,
or it's already on there for you.
It's already on there. Just highlight it.
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
So we had some good times.
There's a beauty that comes with age. I mean, they may make fun of you now, but when they get in a pinch or need help, they'll be calling old grandpa over there to help you. How'd y'all do it back in the 80s?
Hey, Dad, that's right.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. So tell me about this. Tell me, when you came into the Air Force, you did the safety for 10 years. You came over to the dark side, the religious affairs. This is the first time that's ever been used together, dark side of religious affairs. You came over to religious affairs side. How long was that school? The religious
affairs? It was about 6 weeks.
That's right. 6 weeks. And then you moved into, and for those that don't know, religious affairs used to be chaplain's assistant.
Chaplain's assistant.
And so they moved it to make it more PC, which that may come back. Who knows? That's a good point, right? Yeah. We may be the first one to announce that's coming back. So during that change, and tell us what the role of a chaplain assistant or religious affairs. What's their main role in the Air Force?
The main role would be like for the religious affairs airmen, which would be enlisted people. Like I'm enlisted, and we partner with the chaplain. All the chaplains are officers. And we form what they call a religious support team. So the chaplain, the enlisted and the chaplain make a team. And our role is just to advise leadership on kind of the morale of the unit, spiritual welfare, troops, or just somebody that they can talk to.
Yeah.
The things they say to us is confidential, so my favorite thing I like to do about the religious is to do unit engagement. Excuse me. Just to go talk to people.
Yeah.
Go to the different units and just let them know, hey, I'm here for you if you need anything. The chaplain's here for you. The religious affairs office, the chaplain's office is here for you. You just need to talk. You're having a bad day, or you just want a cup of coffee and some candy. We keep our candy jar full and our coffee hot. So if you want to just pop in and talk to us, or you can make an appointment, we can come to you or whatever. But we just there just to help people, help them to get through some tough times, the holidays, or somebody may have just lost a family member or something. But we just get out and talk to people and let them know, hey, we're here for you.
And having that out that is not directly associated with your unit is helpful. And especially and so those that don't know, the chaplain assistants or religious affairs is really geared toward those that are enlisted. And then the chaplains are more kind of toward the officers, but toward everybody with 100% confidentiality. So what you do is absolutely critical. It's critical.
I think so. I like to think it is because you just never know what a person's going through at that in the day. You just want to ask them, what's your story?
Yep.
You know, what is it that I can do for you to maybe make your day go better?
Yeah. You know, when we're talking about religious affairs specialist, is it specialist?
Religious affairs airman.
Airman. Man, I'm telling you, when they changed it from chaplain assistant, you could have just kicked me out of the Air Force because I lost it from there. But I know as a religious affairs airman, many times we hear stories from different people, and during a weekend, you may hear 10 to 20 different stories from people. Tell me what that kind of feels like when you're having to absorb all that yourself, and then where that's kind of transferred to you. And I know as a chaplain, we feel the same way.
It could be hard. It could be hard, especially if you feel like myself. I've had, like I said earlier, my dad passed. I've had family members, get sick, and just things happen in my life. But I guess with my belief, my relationship with God, maybe I handle it a little different from others, because not everybody you talk to, just because they come talk to the chaplain, they believe.
That's right.
They'll tell you, some will just tell you straight up, I don't believe, but I just need somebody to talk to. So to process that, it's I can't honestly say that I've had to dealt with something other than the fact that I just ask them, you mind if I pray for you?
Yeah.
Because I'm here for you. I want to listen. But do you mind? And sometimes even those that say, after they get into their story, even those that say they might not believe, they still, when you ask them, can I pray for you? They really want you to. And they're very appreciative of it. But I'm not really...
That's great, though.
I can't think of anything to say, sir, that stuck with me. Now, some of the people you work with, we have to kind of take care of each other. Like, you and I talk. We don't talk enough. But, like, I'll call you every now and then. You'll call me to see how we're doing. Because it's a good thing that we need to do as religious affairs airmen. All of us are the same. Care for the caregiver. I need to make sure you're hearing a lot of stuff all the time, people's troubles. It's our job to each other to make sure we're not taking that home or we're not holding it in.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all have a story, and when the stories are told, we're all processing them differently. And some of you've made mention to me before that, I don't have an interesting story, but I'm telling you, just from what we've heard already, to me, I think your story is extremely interesting. I find that your service to our country is pretty remarkable. Let me ask you a question, though. So we're talking about we're talking about RST teams or RS teams. Who has been your greatest RST partner?
Well, it has to be you, sir. I mean,
and listen, if you're doing the interview and you got to set these people up every once in a while for at least a good answer.
I understand. But yeah.
The effect that you've had on people is far greater than you probably could ever imagine. And so there's a couple different videos I've found that I want to just play one, and I wanted to get your reaction from the video. I know you're like, you didn't tell me nothing about this, but I just want to show you one video and then get your reaction. Okay. So let's play the first video, and then we'll see what we go from there.
John, just wanted to take this time to let you know how much we love and appreciate you. I have valued your friendship and mentorship. I'm so grateful to be on the same team here at the 403rd at Keesler Air Force Base, but beyond being just an awesome teammate, you have been a friend. You have been a source of strength and comfort and hope throughout this trial that I've gone through this year, and just wanted to take the time to let you know how loved and appreciated you are. I can't imagine the invaluable asset you are to the company, but and to us here. But beyond that, you are you're appreciated and you're needed. We would not be able to do what we do, how we do, without your contributions, without your insights and your positive attitude and the things that you bring to this team that nobody else would. So like you do, and so thank you. I hope you and your family continue to be blessed, and I know you will continue to do awesome things. So thank you. We love you and we appreciate you.
Yeah,
That's a shock, surprise.
One of the best chaplains that you can work with right there, and praising you, man. Tell us what you think about that.
That's pretty cool. It leaves me pretty speechless. He's a great guy. He's a good friend.
Yeah.
The three of us pretty much came up through the chaplain corps together. But yeah, that's.
So your reach, and I truly mean this. You may think, I don't have the greatest story, or maybe I'm not the greatest speaker, or maybe I'm not the most knowledgeable, but man, what you've done in life, it goes far beyond anything that many of us have ever done. The way that you have reached people and people care about you is pretty remarkable. So I got another video. I got one more video I want to show you, and I want to get your opinion from this video here. So if you don't mind, John, Mike, roll this video.
Oh. Hey, hon, it's me. I bet you're a little bit surprised to be seeing or hearing from me. I was asked to make this video, and I'm glad that they included me on this, because sometimes in life you don't tell people enough how much you appreciate them and how proud of them you are. Just want you to know that I am extremely proud of your accomplishments in your military career. You set your goals on 20 years, and it took you a little bit longer than you would have liked it to, but you've made it and then some, and I am so proud of you, and congratulations on that. Thank you for being a man of strong faith, of integrity and strong character, for providing for our family, instilling those values in our children and our grandchildren. For that, I am beyond blessed. I'm happy that you have found a position with Performance, and you're enjoying what you're doing. You're enjoying the people that you're working with. We know it was a blessing from God. It was the opportunity was given to you, but I also know that you have been a blessing to them. So I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you, I'm thankful for you, and I love you.
We'll take a break.
Yeah.
All right, so there's the two great videos from two people that really care a lot about you. Any thoughts? You said you were speechless after Steverson, so man, you better not be speechless after your wife.
No, you're right. I didn't expect it. That's for sure. Words can't describe how much I appreciate her. To know that she feels that way about me, it's just a blessing. She's definitely a godsend to me. She's my rock.
Yeah.
She keeps me straight. It might seem like I'm straight all the time, but she keeps me that way, and I love every second of it. It shocked me.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, like I said, we didn't have to ask many people to make a video. They were jumping at the opportunity to make a video for you, just to at least share how much they care about you. And, of course, we feel the same. So I want to just back up just a little bit before we close this out about how you came to Performance and how all that kind of took place. So kind of walk us through the story, and I'll chime in when you're not telling. When you're being a recruiter, I'll chime back in. But go ahead.
All right. So in the chaplain's office, we had a prophet, okay? And, well, he didn't claim to be a prophet, but he would foresee chicken wings for lunch a lot. I'm not certain if everybody knows who I'm talking about, but he would foresee chicken wings for lunch. So we sitting there eating lunch one day, excuse me, and he gets a phone call, this prophet, And, he gets a phone call, and something about work you could tell. He was kind of private back, Sir, you kind of look like the prophet that I was eating chicken wings with. But anyway, asked me a question like, John, you were in safety, right? I said, yes, sir, I was. He said, well, how does this happen? Whatever the phone call was about. And I said, I just chimed in, and you said, you want a job? And I said, yeah, all 5 of us, the whole chaplain team was eating lunch. They all believed in prophets, and they all believed in wings. That's kind of funny.
Right.
But,
Amen.
Yeah, that's right. So, I just kind of, all right. So we get back to the office, and to get to your office, you had to walk right by me pecking away at my computer, So you called me in, say, hey, close the door. I'm thinking we're going to talk chaplain talk because confidential, we don't want nobody here. And he's like, I was serious about the job. And you told me, I'd heard about Performance. I knew a few people that worked for Performance before, and just people that have the good things they have to say about it. So you piqued my interest right off the bat, and then you started telling me what I would do, how it would go and how it would play out and stuff. And you had Dean call me, Randy called me, Mr. Barrett called me. Not that same day, but later after, we really started considering it. And obviously you didn't have any recruiting in you because everything you told me was going to happen, it did. And it worked.
I should have been a little bit better about it. I should have promised you some stuff.
You everything you said, you delivered on everything. And it's been great. Now, that's how I remember it, and that's how I hope I never forget it, because that in itself was a blessing to me. Because you came into the TR world, we talked about acronyms already, traditional reservist. You got out of the IMA world long enough, I think, for us to meet and for me to be sitting right where I'm at, working for a very good, family-friendly, veteran-friendly company, and I've enjoyed it all immensely since I've hired on.
I spent 2 years in the TR world, my whole career. I'm talking about. I did spend 1 year in the Coast Guard, but you take 17 years I've been in the military. 2 years of that really was in the TR world, and during that 2 years, I met some of the greatest people I've ever met in the military, ever. And I think that's a testament to what also of us following what we feel that God is leading us to do. Yeah. Even if it don't make a lot of sense at that time. It's just been a huge blessing, and you have been a huge blessing as well. As we wrap this up, I do want to say again how much we're thankful and how much we're thankful for you. And is there any message, any kind of closing message you would like to share with someone that may be watching this podcast for the first time about our company or something we may have missed with you?
Excuse me. A benefits package doesn't describe what it means to work for Performance, because to me it's even more than pay. Like I said, a family-friendly, veteran-friendly, community-friendly. My first safety meeting for Performance, when they said we're going to close out in prayer, it's like that's like, okay, this is the way you need to be. This is, just a family atmosphere. Everybody that I see a lot of respect amongst peers. You go to job sites, it could be hot, it could be crazy schedule and stuff, but I look at people still kind of like we need to work together like a family. Yeah. I just describe it as a family. To the veterans out there that may be looking for a company that's definitely has their back, this is the place to be.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, again, It's been a blessing having you in the EHS department, and I do want to give you a couple things. So, everybody has a story, and I wanted to give you this book. It's called Great American War Stories, and I wanted just to give you that from me personally, and thank you so much for your service to our country and what you do here at Performance. We also have you a coin, one of our veteran coins. I'd like to present you with that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for all that you do, and again, we appreciate your service to our company just as much as our service to our country. You've been a huge blessing to us. So, all right, everybody, thanks again for tuning in to the Built to Serve podcast. My name is Torrey Garrison, and we'll be standing by.